Okay, let's get into this. Why are graduations so immature? You can hardly get to the end without name calling. Why did half of the cats in the senior class get expelled? They were found to be cheetahs. Why do most M&Ms want to go to college? They want to turn into Smarties. Seriously, I want to thank you, Principal Joyner, Darian and Paige, Saharsa, and Sahasra. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Sahasra. And Mr. Bauer for your inspiring speeches. I had the privilege of meeting you. Didn't we meet Saharsa this summer at Governor's Honors? Yes, I got to meet her this summer at Governor's Honors. And I also want to say it was so wonderful to hear Mr. Bauer speak today. Yes, my kids did go to school with him, and his parents are friends of mine. So thank you so much. So graduates, loved ones, and distinguished faculty members, it's an honor to be with you here today. And I'm so grateful to Druid Hills High School for the privilege of being one of your pre-commencement speakers. I have happy memories of sitting here in Glenn Memorial for the pre-commencements of our children in 2009, 10, and 2013. I especially remember when my friend Melissa Faye Green gave this pre-commencement speech, and she described her love of Druid Hills High School and the diversity of experiences that this school provided to her children. She specifically mentioned the homecoming parade and the wide number of groups participating. And I agree, this is a quintessential Druid Hills High School experience, seeing the amazing floats by class, but also the Gay Straight Student Alliance, the Key Club, the ROTC, the French Club, the International Students, the Art Club, and the Spanish Club. The richness of the beautiful mosaic of all the students participating, just like I see out here in the audience today. In thinking about what to talk to you about, I decided to focus on a phrase that speaks to me in thinking about my own life. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. What does that mean to me? To challenge myself. As Morgan Freeman says, challenge yourself, it is the only path that leads to growth. I remember when my husband David and I were on our honeymoon, we went on a hike in a rainforest after a huge rain. Now David's always been physically fit and nimble and at ease, like rock hopping in streams and creeks. And I, on the other hand, didn't grow up rock hopping, and I'm not particularly coordinated. So we came to a stream, and he wanted me to demonstrate. So I'm like, he came to a stream, and I slid down a muddy embankment, and I'm stepping across the rocks, trying to keep my balance, waving my arms around, kind of like a chicken or whatever. And it was a very challenging experience for me. But, you know what? I made it across that stream, and we had a great hike. And I just was thinking, what's a little mud on your toes? You know, we can all take on a challenge, make a few falls, have a little bit of failure, and then succeed. And it ended out being the start of what for me is a 35-year love of walking and hiking in the forest near our home, over at Lowwater Forest, at Southeast Peachtree Creek Trail, and our national parks and forests in the mountains of western North Carolina. And choosing to run for office was a real stretch for me. I loved the diversity of Druid Hills High School when my kids attended here. But that world ended when they graduated. In the following years, I found my world shrinking. In response to the growth of the Black Lives Matter movement, one Sunday at church, our pastor asked us to think if we had a strong friendship with a person of difference. Any kind of difference, like disability or income or culture, but especially related to race. I realized sadly that I did not have a close friend. I'd lost touch with my friends, with my black and brown friends I had at Druid Hills High School. I felt a yearning to serve a broader community, to be in an environment where I could have close relationships with people who were different from me, where I could use my skills to help solve problems and improve lives of others. One thing led to another. We had that election in 2016 and that Women's March in January of 2017, and I decided to run for State House. But in order to do this, I had to challenge myself in so many ways, to knock on doors and ask for people's vote who didn't know me, to speak publicly. I remember driving nervously to political forums, holding on to the steering wheel, repeating scripture that was powerful to me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I had to ask people of different cultural and racial backgrounds for the honor and privilege of their vote. To ask people to run our campaign, to worship God with people in different faith communities all over DeKalb. And once elected, I had to learn to talk with people who have very different political views than I do, and to do it in a civil way. Learning to listen, what questions to ask, how to make a point, how to try to best persuade, when to agree to disagree, and when to stand up to speak, and when, especially, to bite my tongue, when to fight for what I believe is right, and when to compromise. But what does it mean for you to get comfortable being uncomfortable? How do you, in this next exciting, challenging phase of your life, challenge yourself? Of course, it means different things to different people. I encourage you to stretch yourself. Don't become small. Don't let the next 4 years pass in a haze. Keep growing. Take interesting classes that are outside of your field of study. I remember so many excellent professors and courses at Emory. One in particular was a course on apartheid in South Africa, which was my first exposure to learning about the colonizers of Europe and the colonized of Africa. I remember being introduced to the concept of the other, how humans can convince themselves that others that are different are less than human. Themes that unfortunately resonate in life still today. I encourage you to explore different interests in clubs and sports and academic life. Be for something. Find your passion. Be curious, not cruel. Get civically engaged. Your voice matters. Feed your soul too, every day. Seek out and have mentors and listen to them. Take the opportunity to learn about people in places that are different from you. Look for what you and these people have in common. Build friendships and memories for a lifetime of relationships. These years are going to be so formative for you. I also think it's important to practice humility. Let's face it, we all make mistakes. But it's how we handle the aftermath of our mistakes that sets the stage for growth. It's uncomfortable to admit we're wrong. It's hard to reach out and to ask for forgiveness and a second chance. I remember in college as a sophomore when I overslept an interview to be a resident advisor in the dorms. I was horrified when I woke up and realized I'd missed my appointment for absolutely no good reason. I rushed to the appointment late and I spoke to the director. And I sincerely apologized. And he accepted my apology and gave me a second chance to interview, and I ended up serving as an RA for the next 2 years, loving the work of mentoring students on my hall. As you enter this next phase of life, practice humility when you make mistakes and when you achieve your goals. Don't let your ego get in the way of building credibility and respect with your friends and colleagues and professors. This can be really hard. We have to practice self-reflection. One other important way to challenge yourself is to discipline yourself. With your academic and work life and with your health. You have spent the last 12 years of your life under structure for 6 to 12 hours a day in school and then into the late afternoon and evening with clubs and academics and sports and work. Most of you will have a very different schedule in technical college or in college, technical school, or out in the working world. You'll need to create your own schedule, your own meals, and time to mentally and physically refresh. For those of you that are going to college, speaking as a parent from experience, I encourage you to treat college as an 8-hour workday and to be disciplined in your study habits. It is hard to stick to. It will be a lot more comfortable and easy to promise yourself that you'll find time to study later, but your discipline will help keep you on track and work in school or work. And make time to be healthy with your food, to move your body and get out in nature. I remember what a stress reliever it was for me to go running and walking at Low-Water Forest when I was at Emory. Be intentional about caring for your physical and mental health. Being outside in nature is really healing. And finally, challenge yourself not to be self-centered. It's easy to ignore people who seem unimportant or annoying, or to take your friends for granted. Show dignity and respect in the ways that you treat all people. The security guard, the janitor, the professor, the teacher aides, the cafeteria worker, your dorm hallmate, your roommate, your coach and your teammates, your boss, and the clerks behind the desk. Especially remember that when people are different from us, look them in the eyes. Look for the human connection. Practice empathy, the key feeling that allows an individual to put himself in someone else's shoes. It's so easy to get caught up in our emotions and righteousness when we're in a conflict. Empathetic people are able to recognize and understand the feelings of those around them better than anyone else. And life empathy is essential to diffuse and to resolve conflicts. I have a theory about empathy. I believe that it's healthy to have felt like an outsider at some point early in your life as a child or a youth or a teen. It's hard, it's painful, it's uncomfortable to feel left out of a group or a clique. I know I felt that way in high school sometimes. But if you have experienced being an outsider, this can help you to develop empathy. And when you have found a place where you belong, you'll be more likely to be inclusive and welcoming, remembering what it feels like not to be left out or not good enough. Friends, here is my call to action as you transition from high school to this next exciting adult phase of your life. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Challenge yourself, stretch and grow. Practice humility. Sincerely apologize when you've made a mistake, and don't let your ego take over when you do. Discipline yourself. Be intentional about creating an academic and work schedule that includes times for healthy meals and physical activity. And find time to get outside in nature. Finally, as our church youth group says as its only rule, don't be a jerk. Treat people with dignity and respect and develop empathy. When you have a conflict, which you will, try to walk in someone else's shoes. I wish for you the very best in this next thrilling phase of your life. Thank you.